We had already discussed now the minimum price. After this, I would discuss the accept or reject decision. Occasionally, a company may be given a proposal to provide a product or a service for a stated price, and they have decided whether they should accept or reject it. Accept or reject a decision use exactly the same principle as a minimum price decision. A project with a positive return on a relevant cost basis should be accepted, a negative return should be rejected. So accept or reject, make company makes a range of different products. It has been approached by a new customer to manufacture 12,000 units of tea over 12 months at a selling price of $3 per unit. This would be in addition to normal budgeted production. The following statements has been prepared. Sales revenue is 36,000. Cost material X at historical cost 5,000. Material Z at contract price. Skilled manufacturing labor, semi skilled manufacturing labor, depreciation of machine 4,000, variable overheads at the rate 30 cents per unit, and fixed overheads that are absorbed at 60% of the skilled manufacturing labor. So over here it is asking a quotation now needs to be prepared on a relevant cost basis so that make company can decide whether to accept the proposal. So material X cannot be used or sold for any other product. It would cost 200 to dispose of the existing inventory. Each of the production uses 2 kilos of material Z. The company has entered into a long-term contract to buy 24,000 kilos at an average price of 37.5 cents per kilo. The current price is 17.5 cents per kilo. This material is regularly used in the manufacture of the company's other products. What is the cost? What is the cost of two materials which should be included in the quotation? What is the cost of two materials which should be included in the quotation? Then we have been given four options. Okay, so let's read this again. Okay, so I hope I think this is enough. So whatever cost which has been given in the statement in this question is irrelevant because this seem to be a sunk cost. If I talk about material X, if I have to talk about so just leave it. If we talk about material X, over here I can see that there are 200. Okay, so it would cost 200 to dispose of. So whatever the cost which has been given in this statement, that is 5,000, this is sunk cost and this is irrelevant, we do not need to consider it. The scrap value, it cannot be sold, it cannot be sold for any other product, or it cannot be used. That means it is not being used. It is available but it is not being used, and in this case if it is not being used and it does not have any alternative use, then we would consider the scrap value. The scrap value of it is 200. So material X, we can say that for material X we have 200 as the cost. Okay, now if we talk about material Z, the material Z, 2 kilos of material Z is required, and the company has entered into a long-term contract to buy 24,000 kilos. That means the requirement is for 24,000 kgs at an average price of 37.5 cents per kilo. So this is sunk cost, this is irrelevant, and the current price is 17.5. That means this is the market price of this material Z. The material is regularly used. Okay, so if it is in regular use, we need to consider the market price. So 24,000 into 17.5, it will be 24,000 into 17.5, that is 4,200, and therefore my option will be 200. I think this, yes. The question is further asking, the new product requires the use of skilled labor which is scarce. If the product T were not made, this labor could be used on other activities which would yield a contribution of $1,000. Okay, so let me read the statement once again. The new product requires the use of skilled labor which is scarce. It has already mentioned that the new skilled labor which is required is scarce. So if the product T were not made, this labor could be used on another activity which was yielding a contribution of $1,000. In case of semi-skilled, the currently has a spare capacity to undertake the additional work. So in case of spare capacity, that means the idle time, there is no relevant cost and it will be 0. That means we have option 3 or 4. Okay, we have to choose something between option 3 and 4. Now if we talk about this thing, that if it was it would have used the labor which was engaged in some other project and the labor got diverted into the current project, then the contribution of $1,000 would have been sacrificed. Okay, so that would have been sacrificed, and hence how will we calculate the wage rate or the relevant cost for the skilled labor? The current wage rate, which is being given, plus the contribution which will be forgiven if that labor which is engaged in some other project or could have been engaged in some other project is diverted and used in the current project. So the cost will be 10,000 plus 1,000, that is 11,000 for skilled labor, and hence I choose option 4. The machine which question 3 is asking, machine which would be used to manufacture tea was bought new 3 years ago for 22,000 and it had a estimated life of 5 years with a scrap value of 2,000. If new product is not manufactured, the machine could be sold immediately for $7,000. If it is used for 1 year, it is estimated that it could then be sold for 4,000. Okay, let me read it again. So in this case, it is saying that there is the current price. It is not the current price, sorry. So 3 years ago, the price of machinery 3 years ago was 22,000 minus 2,000, 22,000 only. Yeah, so it was 22,000, and after 3 years, what will be the price? It will be 22,000 minus 2,000 divided by 5. So it will be 20,000 divided by 5. So basically, this is not after. Yeah, I do want to calculate the cost of the machinery after 3 years. But first, for that, I need to calculate the depreciation per year. So let me calculate the depreciation. So the depreciation would be 4,000 per annum. Hence, depreciation for 3 years would be 4 into, this is 4 not 9, it's looking like 9. 4,000 into 3, which is 12,000, right? Now, what was my cost of machinery 3 years ago? It was 22,000. So, current cost of machinery is what? 22,000 minus 12,000, that is 10,000. So the available value of the machinery is 10,000. And what is the selling price? The selling price of this machinery could be sold currently at 7,000. So whatever the difference is, 3,000, this will be our relevant cost. Yes. Which statement correctly describes the treatment of general fixed overheads when preparing the quotation? Reject because the relevant cost exceeds the relevant benefits. The overhead should be included because all expenses should be recovered. The overhead should be excluded because they are sunk cost, and the overhead should be excluded because they are not an incremental cost. So which statement currently describes the statement of general fixed overheads when preparing the quotation? Okay, reject because the relevant cost exceeds the relevant benefits. No, overhead should be included because all expenses should be recovered. No, overheads should be excluded because they are sunk cost. No. So fixed overheads are not included because they are not incremental cost. So we only consider incremental cost in case of relevant costing. So this is the option I have. Now let's see the last one, and it's which decision should make the company reach regarding the proposal? Reject because the relevant cost exceeds the relevant benefits. Which decision make company should consider regarding the proposal? Okay, so for this we'll have to calculate the relevant cost. We had already done this over here. Let's consider each and every part. So what was the relevant cost for material X? For material X, the relevant cost was 200 minus, over here we had said that it was 200, and for material X, and material Z it was 4200. After that, labor. In case of labor we had skilled, and for skilled labor we had calculated it was 11,000 the relevant cost, and for semi skilled labor it's 0. In case of machinery it's 3,000. In case of machinery it's 3,000. So the relevant cost would be 4,200 minus 200 plus 11,000 plus 3,000. I'm not sure if it's correct or not. It should be 18,000. The relevant cost is 18,000, and over here the total cost it's saying is 39,600, and the loss is 3,600. So I would say it should be this. Yeah, we should accept because the relevant benefits exceeds the relevant cost. So if you can see the total cost, I have not included one overhead because mine is 18,000. So where is this 3,600 coming from? What have I missed? Okay, There were variable overheads as well, so we should include the variable overheads. I did not see that in the question, and it should be 18,000 plus 3,600, and that would give me 21,600. So in any case, if you see, if my relevant cost is 21,600, right? So my relevant cost is 21,600, and what is my revenue? It is 36,000. So it is exceeding, right? So my answer is correct. All right.